Virtual reality, the most engaging technology of our time, takes you on an unforgettable adventure across the ages.
Welcome, Cadet, to the Monda Museo International Research Mission. You'll be traveling back to the Jurassic period to collect data, vital for the future of life on Earth.
I've just taken a trip back in time with Time Machine VR from Minority Media. Very exciting concept, I gotta say, something that I'm sure that everyone who's ever thought of being transported to somewhere else in, say, VR has sort of considered. Is that sort of the where the concept came from originally, that this is something that you yourself like to experience in sort of an alternate reality?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to make a game that truly leveraged all of the strengths of virtual reality. Right back when we first tried out the DK1, the very first sort of developer headset, we went, oh yeah, you know, it'd be really cool? Dinosaurs, right? Like big, toothy lizards bearing down on you, and something that lets you explore a world around you kind of at your own pace to gain that sense of wow and of immersion in a new world. So yeah, absolutely. Right from the get-go, we were like, time machine, want to go right back in time, new dinosaurs, new universe, everything like that.
What is that? What is the setting? What is the story? What's happening here?
So the overall plot of the Time Machine VR is that in the not so distant future, a horrible ancient virus has been unleashed from melting Arctic ice due to global warming and climate change, and this virus is spreading like wildfire throughout humanity. People are getting sick. People are dying. Right? Humanity is on the brink of extinction, and this virus is really weird. It doesn't make sense like a normal disease would, and so as a last-ditch effort, we're sending people back in time to the origin age of this virus, back in the Jurassic era, to gain data and look at why life didn't get wiped out back then, what let life survive so we could get to this point, in the desperate hopes of finding a cure to save mankind.
I just tried the game. I experienced this underwater sequence. One thing that struck me is that traveling in VR is something that's something of a challenge because of motion sickness and all those kind of things. Can you tell us how you went about to sort of solve that issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we're really proud of in Time Machine. Very, very, very few people who play it complain of any kind of motion sickness. So again, really proud of that we've done a lot of work and a lot of research to help crack that problem. One thing that really helps us is the underwater setting. Really slow acceleration and slow deceleration. It's much more comfortable, and it makes sense when you're underwater. You believe it. It doesn't make you feel hampered. It makes you feel immersed. You go, yes, I am underwater. Yes, it's slow to move around underwater. Another really interesting thing that we found was the pod that you're in has sort of a hexagon grid around you that you can see at all times. And it's a static frame of reference that's always in your field of view. It clears out in the middle, as you saw, so you can get a good view of what you're looking at, but it's always around you, and it helps you know when you're moving and when you're not moving, because one of the most disorienting things that can really get nausea going is if you're moving and you didn't think you're moving, or if you're not moving and you thought you were moving, and your brain gets really confused, and that's where nausea comes from. And the last little piece of this is, again, being underwater, you naturally avoid crashing into walls or bumping into things, and that's another place where going from full speed to a sudden stop can really unsettle the stomach. So we've done a lot of these little things. The game design of Time Machine, again, like I said, leverages the strengths of VR, and the setting actually gives us a really great handle on that nausea to provide a very comfortable experience to the player.
Another thing that could pull you right out of the experience is the way that these animals move. Mm-hmm. What kind of research and sort of work has gone into movement of these creatures, these prehistoric huge creatures that it's kind of hard to find a reference to in today.
Well, we actually consult with a paleontologist out of McGill University in Montreal, Quebec, where we're located. And we talk to him about the creatures. All of the creatures in the game are as scientifically accurate as we can actually make them. So they're about the right size. They moved in the best way we can figure that they actually moved. They behaved in that way. When you saw the Pliosaurus eating the prehistoric turtles, that's because the Pliosaurus lived at the same time as those turtles, and we think that its jaws were strong enough to crack through the shell of the turtles. Like, we've done our homework to make sure that all of the creatures you see and the interactions that they have are plausible. I mean, of course, we don't have any footage of a Pliosaurus eating the turtle. That would be a little tricky, but our best bet is, yeah, that totally could have happened. So, yeah, we do a lot of research to make sure that everything that you see in that regard is plausible. And I think that gives the overall game this sense of credibility and believability that further helps you immerse yourself into the experience.
Certainly. We are sort of at the dawn of VR. Devices are coming out. Will you be ready for launch, or when do you plan to be coming out with Time Machine?
So Time Machine is coming out in April. That's sort of our launch window. We're already out on Steam Early Access. It's supports using an Oculus DK2, and we're going to get Vive support in really, really soon. And we're going to be coming out for the Oculus Rift, for the Vive, and we're even checking out the PlayStation VR and developing for that as well. So all the high-end headsets, we want to have support so everybody can play Time Machine.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.